6,988, and as compared to the 22,755 for this year. In the case of indirect housing provision, last year's first semester totaled 39,536 vis-a-vis the 37,947 for this year. We would like to share also with you the record of our HSAC in terms of adjudication. They have generally tried to come close with their targets in terms of deciding within 90 days or in case of appealed. For those that with the NA, there were no actual Prexy indicators or targets set for that year. Thus, there were no numbers indicated. We would like to highlight that the appropriation for the sector has actually been quite low for the past 10 years. It will be noted that during this period, the average budget allocated for the housing sector was only 0.2%. And if we were to exclude those given because of Typhoon Yolanda and the Marawi rehab initiatives, that number will actually go down to 0.11. During the period of 2017 to 2022, we got an average of 7.2 billion. And then during the 2023 to 25 or current administration, we were down to only 5.7 billion. This slide shows you the amount of funds that are being allocated to the housing sector. In 2019, prior to the enactment of Republic Act 11-201, the DSUD was preceded by HUDCC, and HSAC was preceded by HLURB, those shown in red. So over the years, the budget of the five agencies have been slowly going up, and today the total is 6.23 billion. The next slide shows you on a year-to-year allocation, obligation, and disbursement. For SHAPSI, we're still waiting for the NCA issuance for their amount or their requirement for this year. In comparison to the 5.563 that is proposed for next year, the actual request made by the housing sector was 229 billion. So we were only allocated 5.563, which is even lower than the 6.5 that we were given this year. So with the indulgence of the committee, we would like the committee's support to the following requests. Number one, to reconsider increasing NSA's budget to 10 billion from the 2.2 that was approved in the NEP, and for SHAPSI to be provided 500 million from the 166 million that was approved by the NEP. We're also requesting an increase in our Integrated Disaster Shelter Assistance Program to 4 billion. To date, we have already targeted or are already in the request stage of about 2.6 billion. And that number excludes the 550 that had been provided. And we still have 3 months to go, and we expect that there might be more demand for IDSAP because of the typhoons and the earthquakes that has beset the country. However, we would encourage the Senate, we request the Senate if we can consolidate the IDSAP funds of the SUD into NHA. This is to allow us to transition to a single shelter emergency assistance programs. This will facilitate the distribution because of NHA's extensive network across the country. In addition, we would like to request the Senate's assistance for a quick response fund for NHA in the amount of 500 million. And this is to cover all incidentals related to emergencies such as what we're encountering now in Cebu because of the earthquake and in Davao. as far as utilization, we can be seen from this slide that there has been general improvements or close to the disbursements for both for the obligation and disbursements for the period January to June 2024 and 2025. Before we end, we'd like to share with you our earmark revenues and our off-books budget. NHA and HAC do not have figures because they use a different accounting system. Thus, we could only show you what is in the SUD, in SHAFC, and in NHMFC and HDMF. However, we would like to clarify that the HDMF is a members fund, and thus this cannot be incorporated into the general budget of the other agencies. In ending, we would like to share with you our requested legislative agenda. We hope that the Senate can consider various Senate bills related to on-site in-city government resettlement programs, rental housing subsidy programs, housing development digital connectivity, amendments to the Balanced Housing Development Program, the Socialized and Low-Cost Housing Loan Restructuring Program, the Sustainable Cities and Communities Act, the strengthening of our key shelter agencies, specifically National Home, next slide, National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation and the Social Housing Finance Corporation, the Enhanced National Shelter Program Bill, and the Philippine Urban Park System. On this note, we appreciate the committee's continued support in advancing the dignified housing and sustainable communities, and we look forward to working closely with all stakeholders for a safe, resilient, and inclusive housing sector. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. How about the other agencies, the key shelter agencies? Do they have their own presentation or lahat nandito na?
They've already been incorporated.
Here in your budget
Yes, Mr. Chair, we've already included
budget presentation, no? Okay. All right. Sige. Any more presentation, or we can proceed to the question and answer?
Mr. Chair, we can proceed with the question.
Okay, sige. I'll start off with some basics first, like the requirement for shelter in our country. And you presented earlier, slide 9, that there are about 3.3 million 3.3 million homes required. Is that the right number?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
3.398440.
That's the number of homes required, or the requirement for housing for the next 2 years, no, until 2028. Tama?
Yes, Mr. Chair. It includes the backlog from December 2022 plus those that will be required from 2023 to 2028.
Okay. And because in our figure, it's ang aming backlog is 6.9 million.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The 6.9 is actually the total of the 3.398 and the 3.546.
Okay.
The reason why we have separated 3.5 is because they are actually projections of possible structures that may be damaged over the period.
Okay.
So there is no reality that they will happen. So when we were preparing this, the Philippine Statistics Agency highlighted to us that they should be separated because these are just allowance for possible inventory loss.
The allowance is based on historical numbers. How did you project allowance? Because it's very difficult, diba? Minsan may bagyo, minsan walang bagyo.
Yes, so they actually consider this a over, how do you call it? It's big because they don't know the impacts of typhoons over periods of time. No? Plus, there were also before like the one in Marawi, so there could be a unique incidences that could increase the number.
So the number that we should be looking at is 3.3.
3.398.
Okay, by 2028.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and the number of in production natin, how much are we producing a year?
Yes, our target for until 2028 is 1.133. That covers both production, indirect and indirect.
But to date, how much are we producing?
We are already at 399,000, Mr. Chair.
399,000. So if you look at this figure, for example, in 2025, the requirement is 196,000, tama?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And then we are on the average producing 399.
The 319 is already the total from the current administration up.
Okay, but a year, how much are we producing?
So right now, so this would be about 100, approximately 100 a year. Just over 100,000 a year.
100,000 a year production.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So may balance tayo ng almost 100, in other words. Tama?
Yes,
It's
Mr.
almost
Chair.
100. Itong 196 in 2025 includes the backlog.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The backlog are the first two lines, 1A and 1B.
Okay.
And then in 1C, these are newly formed families. So-
Newly formed, in growth yan, no? In
Yes.
growth, oo.
Mr. Chair, if we may just share, we were also advised by PSA to clarify that the needs do not necessarily mean a demand. So if, for example, a family already has a married child and he stays with the family, then there is already that one extra need.
Yes.
Or
oo.
if the parents opt to stay with the child, then that is still an extra need. So it doesn't mean that there is a demand, but for purpose of the way UN computes that is already a need.
Okay. So, itong 1A for 2025, 7,856. Ito yung mga ISF.
Not necessary ISF lang,
Kasi
iba po siya.
unacceptable housing units eh.
Yes.
So, I would assume ISF
The
yan.
bulk would be ISF pero hindi lang po kasi nung gumawa yung PSA tsaka PSRTI, they cover different areas. So hindi lang po, let's say in areas where it is agricultural area pero hindi naman dapat merong mga bahay
Yes,
doon.
oo.
So nagkakaroon ng mga ganun.
Oo.
But generally ISF is the bigger part of it.
7,856 families lang?
These are families po, families.
Ganun lang kakonti ang ISF sa buong Pilipinas?
No, right now that number is the backlog here is 2.2. Ang ginagawa po ng PSA, pag meron silang ISF, separate po yung ISF, tapos separate yung condition. Let's say they're already awarded proclamations, iba po yun. Kasi yung iba may lupa na.
Yes, pero ano lang, I would assume cumulative to, di ba, in 2025?
Yes po. So each number, let's say 2.2 plus 384 plus 815, yun po yung cumulative. Kaya umaabot ng 6.9. But that 6.9 is actually already combination of those that are not in good condition tsaka those that are allowance for inventory losses.
Gusto ko lang hindi, ano pala, no? Umpisahan natin dito sa accumulated. So accumulated, 1A lang I just want to focus first
Yes,
on the
1A.
informal settlers. And we will assume yung 1A, majority of that informal settlers kasi to households in / likely to occupy unacceptable housing units, di ba? Informal settlers.
Yes.
So, ang backlog natin is 1 million, di ba?
Yeah.